love to hear it. Okay, so thanks for coming on. It's great to get to talk to you. You've had a hell of a year. We'll cover some of the stuff, and you've more coming, in fact, as well. But we'll cover some of that stuff in a little while. You're in San Diego, is it?
Yeah, I'm in San Diego, California.
And are you from there?
No, so I'm originally from Texas. What brought me to San Diego was playing baseball. I came to college here at SDSU, and then I ended up staying.
Okay, so you're obviously good at baseball.
Yeah, baseball.
Right. Oh, I have questions about baseball, but I'm conscious of making myself sound like a moron by asking them. So we don't really have baseball. We have rounders. That's like we play that in. Yeah, it's like shit baseball. So it's you surely have rounders in the States. Or maybe you don't, I don't know. But it's you play it in school, and it's just like there's a ball, a batter, you throw the ball. You can do kick rounders as well, which is like with a football. I've already lost one of this episode altogether. Fuck it, I'll keep going. And you run to like bases, and then the next person kicks or hits, and then they run. And if you catch the ball with two hands, the person that hit it is out, if it provided it doesn't hit the ground. And if you catch it with one hand, the whole team swaps. So like
is it kickball?
Yeah, you can do kick rounders, but you can also do it with like a tennis racket or like a hurl,
And how
which
big
is like soccer ball sized.
Okay.
Or you use it like a tennis ball, like one or the other.
That's
You
cool.
don't kick the tennis ball, and you don't use a tennis racket on the big ball.
Yeah,
Both of those are recipes for disaster. But yeah, that's my common ground with baseball. I was at a baseball match once in Chicago, and I didn't have a fucking clue what was happening. Like, I know it is really long. Like it lasts a long time.
Yeah.
And I assume usually when you go to like a stadium or something, you're like, got my ticket, got my seat. But like we went in and it was just like, where do you go? Oh, wherever. I was like, oh, okay. And then just like wandering, we just kind of stood at a wall for a while, and then someone was like, that's my spot. And we had to move. Like, so and eventually we found seats. But like it's so there's like innings and stuff. How many innings is there in general?
9 innings. Yeah, and
And
in each.
is that an inning is like one team is doing one of the jobs, and then when you swap, it's a new inning, or no?
Yeah, no. It's the same inning. So in one inning, both teams get to hit. So it's like when one's hitting the ball, the other's defending it, and then
Yeah.
switch in the same inning. And once both of them have gone, then they move on to the next inning.
Okay, so you do it like 9 times each.
Yes, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
And how is it? How many people is there a certain number of people you put out in order to cause the switch, or is it time?
So it's 3 outs. So for
Okay.
instance, you're doing the kick or the whatever you're doing. If
whatever baby shit you're doing.
no, so for instance, like if I go up to hit and I kick it and they catch it, that's an out, right?
Yeah. Or if you miss it 3 times.
You get 3 of those before you switch.
Okay. Or you can get strikes is baseball, really, isn't it? That's the most common way of getting knocked out, probably, is it?
Well, it takes 3 strikes for 1 out.
Yeah.
And total outs. So yeah, like striking out. If you miss it, that's 1 strike. If you miss it again, that's another. If you miss it again, that's 3. So 1 out.
And does anything happen if you're batting and you hit the ball and someone catches it in the air? Does that matter? No, it just means
Yeah,
you get it back quicker.
that's an out.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's 1 out. Yeah.
Oh, that makes all of those videos I've seen of people doing extraordinary catches way more impressive then. Okay, right. Yeah,
and then
okay.
so like you know how you kick it and you run to a base.
Yeah.
Let's say they don't catch it in the air, but it's hit to me and it's like on the ground, and I pick it up and I throw it to the base before the runner gets there. That's an out.
Okay. And what if because in the game, I might just edit all of this out. In the game, in the game where that we play, if there's say if you are running and I have the ball, I can throw the ball at you and hit you and knock you out.
No, you can't throw it at the person.
Could I touch you with the ball? No.
Yes, you could touch it. Yeah, you could touch. That's an out if you touch somebody.
Okay.
You just can't throw it at them.
Yeah. I mean, like I'm a teacher, so I play this game with kids.
Hmm.
I don't play with them. I'd fucking destroy them. But I play I help them to play it. But yeah, one of the first anytime we're playing it, it's like I remember when I was a kid, you were allowed just like fuck the ball at someone from across, and if it hit them, it's like, yeah, you're out. Whereas now it's like that's not a rule because like you're so health and safety conscious. You're like, if someone gets hit with a ball, I'm dead.
That's
So yeah, we use that we use that safety rule as well. And how did you start playing baseball then? Was that in your was that big in the town you grew up in? Was it big in your family, or how did that happen?
yeah. I mean, I started playing all kinds of sports when I was a kid. I played baseball, football, soccer, you name it. I was out there. But I really enjoyed baseball, and it was like something me and my dad bonded over. So I just continued to play from when I was a kid, I brought it into middle school and then high school. And then after high school, I decided to get really serious on it. So I just kind of like reached out to colleges and stuff. And then one college picked me up, Texas State in San Marcos, Texas. They gave me a walk-on spot. So walk-on spot is just like no money given, just like a free ride. Like, come on, you can try out for our team in the fall, and then if you make,
Okay.
then you'll continue to play for us. So that was my freshman year of college. I ended up not making the team because I wasn't developed enough. I kind of got into the party scene and like the girls in college. So I kind of like got distracted.
You did college the right way. That's what you're saying.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I did college the right way. I just wasn't very distracted and I didn't end up making the team. And yeah, so like it was like the biggest thing that happened to me. I went home, I was like crying, like, because I was always like the captain on my baseball team, stuff like that. So it was a huge hit that I took. So yeah, I went home, I cried, and then I emailed a bunch of smaller schools and said, hey, you know what, if you're gonna do this thing, like you're gonna jump in, you're gonna stop all this, like the partying and everything that college had to offer. So one school gave me a shot and I ended up going, and then it opened the door to come here to SDSU. And yeah, since then I've just been here. I've been here for 5 years now. Um,
Now I don't want to get into semantics again on something else. We've already done a deep dive into baseball,
mhm.
but college sports in America really confuses me because in Ireland, for example, if you go to like a university or whatever in Ireland, you do like 4 years or
Yeah.
3 years or whatever, and then you're done. And if you want, you can do like a master's or something if you
Yeah.
want.
Hmm.
But that's it. Whereas in America, it seems like you go to one college for a while and then you go to a different one. Especially when you play sports, there's a lot of people say like, "Oh, I went to this school and then this school and then this school." How like is that because of scholarships and stuff or what?
Yeah. So it's like, I mean, there's different factors that play into it. Let's say, for instance, you go to a college, right, and you really dislike it. You don't like the coaches, you don't like the players, you don't like the way they run their program. You're allowed to transfer to a different college.
Okay.
Obviously, like a ton of stuff. You have to apply for the new college. You have to get accepted. Their coaches have to accept it. Or there's other ones where it's like my instance, my freshman year, they said, "Hey, you're not good enough to play here." So I took it upon myself, like, okay, if I can't play here, I'll start at a smaller school and grow, develop, work my way up, and then eventually go to a Division 1 school, like a better school. Um,
And what did you do in school? Like what were you learning about?
so I was studying business back before I transferred over to San Diego State. So business marketing, and then San Diego State here in San Diego was the only college that said that everything would transfer over. I was recruited by a ton of schools after I went to the smaller college. So I got a chance to choose between like 40, 50 schools. But this one said, hey, we'll accept everything, come on over. And then that's what brought me here to San Diego.
Um, yeah, because it's interesting. Like, did you care? Did you care much about the like the books side of it? Because, like, say there when because even when I'm asking about it, you're like, well, the coach says this and the players, and then what do you think of the coach? You never mentioned like your
Yeah,
lecturers, anything else.
never. No. So I wasn't really, I mean, I got great grades.
Yeah,
I think I graduated with a 3.7 out of college, which it's out of a 4.0. So it's a top score.
yeah,
never really interested in school. I mean, I love sports. I've always loved sports since I was a kid, and it was just like my goals were always involved in that,
Hmm.
and it was never in school and never. I always like I'm very good with like business and stuff on the outside. Um, I love real estate stuff like that. So it's like that's kind of like maybe in the future. Right
Yeah.
now, take advantage of like my athleticism and my like my health and stuff. So as long as I could do the sports stuff, then I'm happy with. So.
And where did CrossFit factor in then? How did you find that?
Yeah, so I injured my right elbow, so I tore the ligament in my elbow when I was playing baseball.
Were you a pitcher?
Yeah, I was a pitcher.
Okay.
So I was a pitcher, and I was gonna get drafted. I had numerous scouts and stuff calling me. Drafted means they come like the Major League Baseball team. They pay you some money to eventually go into the organization and then play
Mm.
on TV and stuff. So the pros pretty much. So I tore my elbow my junior year of college, and it's a huge deal to tear because it takes like 2 years to come back from. It's a long rehab. So I just kind of said, hey, you know what? I'm done with baseball. I'm gonna retire. I kept pitching throughout my senior year, so for a full year I pitched on it. I just wasn't throwing as hard.
Yeah.
Then everything ended. Like once I decided to retire, college ended, baseball ended, and I was just sitting in my apartment. I had never been in that position, like just sitting around, like, okay, what's my next move? So I got really depressed, really anxious. Like I'd just sit there and not do anything. I wasn't working out. And then I was actually walking around downtown San Diego, and I walked into Invictus. And I just kind of looked around. I was like, man, this is awesome. I've never seen a gym like this. CrossFit, I had seen it, but I didn't really like pay any attention to it. And so when I walked in, I tried a free week, and then I didn't have the money to pay for it. So I left for another 6 months. And then eventually, like I said, hey, you know what? Like you need to start setting goals and stuff. So I set a goal of going to the gym at least once a day. And then I signed up and started taking the group classes at Invictus. And then slowly built my way. I started this in 2019, so 3 years ago, three and a half.
Fuck, yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, and I just really enjoyed it, and I think I got that feeling of like competition in the classes and like trying to beat my like the people in the members taking the classes and stuff, and then it just like slowly built up. Um, I then went in from the group classes into the competition classes, which kind of prepare you for if you're trying to compete. And then, yeah, I fell in love with it. So I emailed Tino Marini, which was my first coach there at Invictus, and was like, hey, you know what? I don't care how long it's going to take. I'm willing to sacrifice everything. I want to compete, and I want to be on a Team Invictus team. So, yeah, he gave me the opportunity. I started training around like Lauren Fisher, Rasmus Anderson, Eric Carmody. And yeah, it's just from then on, it's got me to where I am right now.
So there's a lot. We zoomed past a lot of stuff there that I want to.
Yeah.
So that injury, I'm assuming that's really common in pitchers, is it?
Yes, it's actually called Tommy John surgery. So it's that famous that it was given a name for the first
Okay.
person with the surgery, Tommy
And
John.
it's just excessive use, I assume, is it?
Yeah, so it's so a pitching motion is unnatural. So it's
Yeah.
putting a lot of strain on the elbow. Um, and yeah, over time, like it just can't handle that load, and so it just explodes. And what happens is, if you can see, there's a ligament that runs across this way, it just shoots up, and
Oh
it
shit.
doesn't attach. Like you have to take some from your hamstring, and then they go in there and sew it and stuff. Yeah, so it's just overuse. It kind of explodes.
And does that affect you with like say butterfly movements or anything like that?
Yeah, so actually, no. Like ever since I sat down, I was like, "Hey, the doctor said I need full reconstructive surgery." He's like, "It's never going to reattach again. We need to pull from your hamstring. We need to sew it back, and then you need to do the rehab." And I'm a huge believer in like the body healing itself. I don't recommend it to like anyone and stuff, whatever anyone wants to do. But like I've always handled my injuries like, okay, I analyze it, I kind of like think about it, and then I just do what I can for it to rebuild. So yeah, I ended up doing that. I said, I'm not getting the surgery. I'm just going to try to build everything around it. So I built my bicep and forearm, and ever since then, it hasn't given me any problems. I don't feel it in chest to bar. I don't feel it in overhead squats, nothing. Snatch. which is pretty crazy, unattached.
Yeah, I'm just imagining a bit of ligament just like flapping
Yeah.
around.
So the biggest thing about it is it shoots this way, but if you were to push against my elbow this way, the bones are like this. It opens up like that because there's no
Oh wow.
holding it. So it's weird to me that it just never has like bothered me because that's a big thing. Like the bones should not be opening like that. It should be attached.
Yeah, like even just under a severe, like if you think of like split jerk or anything severe load or snatch, like aggressive.
Yeah, yeah. And so I think that's what Brooke Wells ended up doing was like through a snatch, there was just so much pressure in that position. So
Yeah,
yeah, it's weird to me that I've never really felt it.
yeah. Um, what about then your parents and like when you finished baseball and you finished college and you had that kind of listless, like that kind of dip? Were you was staying in San Diego, was that like, I'm happy here, I want to stay here? Were you like, oh, maybe I should go back to Texas? Were they saying maybe you should come back to Texas? Because I know that kind of, that's where parents tend to get kind of angsty, where they're like, oh, we need to do something, we need to help.
Yeah. Honestly, I have the best parents in the world. Like they've always been super supportive of anything I do. And they know I'm going to figure it out. Like I've always figured it out on my own. And at that time, I couldn't tell you. Like when I tell you I was sitting on the couch and had zero idea or plan on what I was going to do, I genuinely had that. Like I didn't know. I like Invictus is what saved me, I'd say, because there was nothing I was doing. Like I was just sitting there, like I didn't know what to plan. All my eggs were in the basket of, oh, I'm gonna end up going pro in baseball. And then for that to just be taken away and just sitting there like, okay, well, I've never really had a plan outside of baseball. Um, so yeah, like my parents would just like, I'd call them and they'd just be like, yeah, you'll figure it out. Like you always have, like, just continue to like wake up, do your thing, get into your routine and stuff. And then, yeah, that's what I'm saying. When I walked around downtown and found that gym, like now it feels like, okay, everything was supposed to happen. I'm supposed to be here. But at the moment I had zero idea on what I was going to do.
How long are we talking? Like, how long was that dip?
Eh, so it was about 6 months before I found Invictus,
And then another 6 months.
and then another so about a year of like not knowing what to do. Yeah, because I only went for a week and I couldn't afford it, and so I knew I was huge into fitness, and I knew that was kind of like a small guide. So at the time I was like, okay, well I'll just study some personal training certs or something.
Yeah.
So I was like doing it, but I just had no motivation. So I'd be like online trying to learn this cert. And yeah, so it just, Invictus for sure saved me on that.
Yeah, because those days, like I think everybody, well, most people anyway, at some point in their life have those days where they're just like, like you finish your breakfast or whatever, you're just like, right,
Yeah.
it's just vapid. There's just nothing there. There's no like, there's just no, you're rudderless. Like, there's just nothing.
Yeah.
God,
And,
it's so lucky that you found it
and
because,
it was even worse on me because so I had always been in sports and I had been the team captain and just like I had all the accolades and stuff like that. And just to be sitting on the couch and watching like all my collegiate old teammates like getting drafted and going pro, and like I just be watching them like succeed in everything that I wanted. So it was even worse for me. Like I'd just be sitting there, I'm like, dang, like I never made it. It was a really hard time for me. I had my ex and I had just broken up as well, so it's like I lost my ex-girlfriend, I lost school, I lost baseball, I lost, and yeah, it was tough.
yeah. How tough are we talking? Are we talking like properly dark, or are we talking like, oh, I was lonely? Do you know what I mean?
It was, I mean, it's just like me, I was always on a high of sports, and I'm a D1 baseball player. I can do whatever I want in this college. Like I can, to go from having everything like that to like sitting here and not having an idea of anything was huge for me because I had never been in that position. So it was like it
Mm.
was dark. I'd be alone. I was alone for pretty much the entire year. Like I didn't have friends. All my friends had left to sports and stuff. So it's like it never got to a point to where I like would hurt or wanted to hurt myself or anything. It was just like a lot weighing down on me. Like you're really nothing right now. You need to figure something out. Like a constant pressure on myself. Like, um, but in the end, like I said, I always figured it out. I always knew I would. I just didn't have something to like
Mm.
kind of set my
Yeah, you couldn't. There was nothing. There was no purchase. There was nothing to grip onto. Like it was just
like literally
slippy.
nothing. I'd
Mm.
watch. Yeah, I'm like, what's next? Like, do I get a job? There, nothing. There's
Yeah.
it was weird.
If you get to a point, because I had that where like all my friends went to college and I kind of did, and then it didn't work out, and I had like a 2 or 3 year period where I was waiting to go back as a mature student, like when because it's free here if you go back when you're 24, it's free. Um, so I was waiting, and there was just this. Yeah, just like I didn't have the sport thing. I didn't have that side of things,
Mhm.
but I had like so I went to like boarding school. So like everything was really structured and really regimented and really like you're up at this time and you eat at this time and you go. It's a bit like um institutionalized kind of. So then when that's taken away and I had the freedom, I was like 17 and I had the freedom of like, wait, we don't have to go to class. We can just not go. I was like,
Yeah.
this is insane. Why are you all leaving? Like um so yeah, I really just shit the bed with college the first time. And then there was just this dead period. I was watching my friends qualify, I was watching them get jobs, I was watching them like settle down and stuff, and I had nothing to offer anybody. Like I had no, there was just nothing. I just had no positive baggage to bring to anything. Like, but yeah, it's that feeling of just the kind of everything's just kind of slippy. Like there's nothing to grasp on. It's it's like I don't know, like you see people doing Tough Mudder or
Mhm.
Hell and Back and those kind of things and just sliding down ramps. It just feels like that, where it's just you
Uh,
can't get to the top. Like you just need a grip, a foothold or something.
yes, yes, yes.
So Invictus was your foothold. That's great.
Yeah.
Um, how long into it did you move to the competitors class?
So I joined the competitor.
Sorry, there's another thing there that you said. So when you said originally, I went in and I used my free week, and then I went away again. I was full sure you were going to say, and I came back with a fake mustache, and I got another free week and
Yeah,
another free.
I got a different ID the next week.
Yeah.
No, that's funny. So I went about 3 to 4 months in the group classes, just like constantly every day, like showing up. Yeah, I would say closer to 3, not 4. So 3 months, and then
And were you working?
I was working, and this is funny. So you know how I was telling you I was trying to get my cert and stuff for personal training.
Yeah.
The gym that it's a beautiful gym. It overlooks the bay and the ocean here in San Diego. My friend had taken me in college, and I was like, hey, you know what? I'm gonna try to personal train at this gym. So I went to the gym, and the guy's like, hey, we don't have any openings, and like we've had our coaches here for like 15 plus years, so we don't plan on looking for anyone new. Things have been running pretty smoothly. And at that time I still didn't have my cert. So I was like, hey, you know what, like just give me any job, give me the lowest job, I'll try to work my way up, or I'll just like show you that I'm capable of doing this job. So he's like, okay, like I said, we don't have any openings, but I can try to make this new opening where it's like coming at 5 a.m. It's like opening the gym, but you're staying from 5 a.m. for an 8 hour shift, and you're doing like lawn, like you're doing the towels for the members, you're washing and you're scrubbing the toilet. It's basically like a janitor job.
Mm.
um so I was like, yeah, sure. So I took the job. So that kind of added even more to like that sitting on my couch, like, okay, I'm sitting here watching all my teammates while I'm folding towels and like cleaning like dirty clothes, and like I'm a janitor. Like this is the lowest I've ever been. I have no money, I'm doing this job. Like um yeah, and there was always like I was like, I'm gonna work towards becoming a personal trainer in this position. I don't care how long it takes. So there's like this sign. I would go in at 5 a.m. just like miserable. I have to go wash these towels, and there's this sign. It was like, "Remember why you started." I would look at it every single morning before I'd go into the restroom. I'm like, "All right, remember," and then remember, and every single day I would just do it over and over and over again. And so that's where I was working as I kind of jumped into Invictus, doing the regular class for 3 months, and then that was kind of like the whole deal. So Really started from the bottom on both.
Yeah. You mentioned that you had a short. So you started 2019. So like 2021, 22. So you finished your third year, we'll say.
Mm-hmm.
Now you're finishing your third year. Your numbers are insane. Like, so I was looking at your open finishes.
Mm-hmm.
So was 2020 your first open then? Did you start like late 2019?
I did do the Open in 2019, but I think my score was like I couldn't even do a toaster bar. I'll send you a video where I literally kicked up for a toaster bar and one foot barely tapped it in 2019. I'll show you the video. That was the first Open, so I couldn't even submit scores.
Yeah.
So that was my
Because
first.
like,
2020 was second. Yeah.
but so 2020, the top 2000, like almost inside the top 1000, like 1100 and something.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's just frankly mind-boggling that to go from
Yeah.
because the 2019 was 2019 the year where the Open was in like October,
Yes.
and
Yes.
then
Yeah.
2020 it was in February.
Yes. Yeah.
So in the space of like 6 months, you went from like I can't do a toaster bar, like as in I can't do a toaster bar so badly that I've kept for 3 years. I've kept a video of me trying to do a toaster bar. You were at that level, and
Yeah.
then 6 months later, you're basically top 1000,
Mm-hmm.
and then the next year you're like top 300, and then the year after you're top like just outside the top 50. Like, are you aware? Like, do you know? Like, when you hear that now, are you like, "God, that's pretty crazy," or are you aware when it's happening? Are you like, "Wow, okay, that was a significant jump," and then, "Wow, that was another big
Yeah.
jump."
It was never like wow, that was a significant jump because before the season I have my goal and it's been going up every year. So it's like I have it written down. I could send you a picture of my notebook. But so the first Open, I was like, okay, let's get. What did I get? I got 2000th on my first one, or
11189. It's just outside. Like,
yeah. So it was like top 1,000 that time, and I was like, okay, I didn't get it. Next one, since I got close to 1,000, I'm gonna reach for top 500.
yeah.
And that one, I was like, okay, top 100. And now this next one's gonna be kind of hard, but like that's what I would do the year before, and that's what I would work towards. So like the entire year, I'm like, okay, I'm going for that top 1,000. I'm going for that top 500. So it's like I knew that what I was going for, so it was never like, oh wow.
But
But
where did you pick top 1000 out of? Because again, if you can't do a toast bar 6 months before the Open, and then you're like top 1000, like most people would be like, finish all the workouts or X would be the
you
first goal.
you can ask one of my best friends that I met during CrossFit. His name's Max Reynolds, but he laughs at my goals. Sometimes I'm like, that's 300 today. Like we're gonna do it. Like, and it's I don't know. It's just like kind of it's like setting those like stupid, unrealistic goals, but like in a way, I kind of like have always believed it. Like it sounds so dumb to say like, oh yeah, I'm gonna snatch 350, but like part of me thinks I can. Like it's
Mm.
no, it's I just feel like I really, really, really belong in CrossFit, and I know my progression has been like substantial over the last couple years, but
Astronomical. Like,
yeah,
it's not substantial, doesn't cut it. Like,
but
it's
like
I would like I genuinely I was looking at these being like, I'm making a mistake. Like, I'm not reading something right, or I'm
it,
doing something wrong. Like, I was showing it to my wife, being like, is this reading the same way to you as it is to me? And
yeah,
her response, she just goes, "Who the fuck is that guy?" When she saw the
so
numbers.
awesome. That's great. No, but it's cool to hear that because like I don't expect anyone to like be like, oh yeah, Jorge's doing this, this, and that. Like it's cool to hear you say stuff like that because in my mind it's like everything I'm doing in CrossFit, it really feels like I belong in like what I'm supposed to be doing. Because like if I do something incredible and people are like, how the hell did you do that stuff? Like I can remember back in elementary school when I was like running 11 laps on my own while everyone goes inside to do this. And I'm just running and running. And I'll think back to like previous times that like in that moment, like I thought of. So it's like I've been doing this for my entire life. I'm just getting to showcase it now, you know? Like I'm not obviously like snatching 300 and doing 20 unbroken muscle ups like back in the day, but like I can think of times where it like kind of translates over to now. So
Well,
I
work ethic, basically. It's just
yeah,
you. Yeah.
like works forever. Like, for instance, in the small junior college that I reached out to, they even said I wasn't developed enough to be on their team. But they said, you are the hardest working person we've ever seen, because I was like, I was trying to beat everyone on every single lap. I was showing up early. I was showing up like leaving late. Like, so it's like my entire life has kind of prepared me for Invictus. And I know people are seeing the glimpse of like, this guy's crushing it in 3 years, but they don't know that I was, when year I went home every single night, I forced myself to run 4 miles at night. Like, no matter what it was, if it was 10 o'clock at night, 12 o'clock at night, like, they don't see my entire life leading up to this. They just see the 3 years, um, you know?
Hmm. Yeah, geez, you're an impressive guy.
Thank you.
You went to Wadapalooza there as well in between. So like in 2021, I think.
Yeah, I'll tell you a funny story. 2021 was right before the pandemic, right?
Uh,
Yeah.
After 2020 was COVID.
Okay, so I went to, actually, my first ever competition was the 8 team, and that was
Okay.
the year before the pandemic.
Okay.
So it was my first ever competition. Um, so I show up, I'm in Miami, right? And CJ and Tino show up, like, cause they have Invictus teams and stuff. And I never told them like I qualified on my own through with this other team. So I showed up and they're like, "What are you doing here? Like, do you watch and stuff?" I'm like, "No, I'm competing." And CJ's like, "Oh, okay. Like, are you doing like the RX or what are you doing?" Like, "No, I'm on an elite team, like with like this person, this person." They're like, "Oh, we wouldn't have done that. We would have probably thrown you into like an RX and like kind of guided you up." And I'm like, because I didn't really understand what I was doing, like getting in.
Yeah.
I show up and it's like, to this day, I say it's the most stacked field. It was like Rich with Scott Panchik
That
and
was the year it was like a sanctional, wasn't it?
yeah, Sam
Yeah,
Rich
yeah.
on a team and Joshua Alshama and everyone was on a team. And I show up and there I am, my first competition ever, like looking left and right and Rich is there and all this stuff. I'm just like, I don't know what I'm doing, but yeah, I just got kind of thrown into the fire.
You did you do individual the next year then?
After that, no, the pandemic hit and there was no competitions. Like, so,
This January did you do it? No?
oh yeah, I did do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
So
went.
the next available slot, we'll say.
Yes,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
So I went.
Okay. Did you enjoy uh your most recent experience in Miami more than the first year? Like, were you more comfortable, more settled?
Definitely more comfortable because I went to games and stuff, so I got more experience. It was different though, since it was my first individual comp. So Waterpalooza was like my first comp ever, and then it was my first individual comp ever. So it was like,
Sorry, Waterpalooza was your first, like, as in you like throwdown, like at home, like in some local thing in San Diego. No, like I'm going straight to Waterpalooza.
no, Waterpalooza was my first.
Oh my god!
That's what I'm saying. Like, I saw CJ, he's like, "What are you doing here?" I'm like,
Yeah, I fucking bet he said, "What are you doing here?"
"I'm I'm competing." Like, he's like, "What are
Yeah,
you
he
doing?"
was like, "Oh, we could have carpooled if we know you're coming to spectate," and you're
And
like, "No, I'm competing." Yeah, oh my god!
I'm competing. Like, little did I know what I was getting into. I didn't like.
Yeah, you were like, "What's the big
No,
deal?" And then you walk out with Froning.
it was a lot. Yeah, it was.
Yeah,
Remember, yeah, those workouts and like, because Waterpalooza was always heavy. Like, yeah, it was an experience for sure.
yeah, my god.
We didn't take.
Um,
We took like middle of the pack, which was cool. So
yeah. In the games then, so you qualified on a team in 2021.
hmm
Who else was on that team?
it was me, Jen Ryan, Brittany Weiss, and then we had Eric Carmody for the semifinals, but he got injured his knee, and so we had to take our backup Ryan Sauter to the games.
Um, so like at what point after say Wadapalooza, at what point did you start becoming involved in conversations about like, oh, we're going to do a team, and you know, like how does that come up? Like,
Yeah, so I didn't get picked for the team till like a month before the game or 2 months before the games.
So is it that so you did the open, you registered as like part of the team in the
Yeah,
open, like as in like for the gym, and
exactly.
then they like whittle it down, and they're like, okay, but they wait that long. Was it forced that they waited that long, or was that the plan always?
No, no. So the biggest thing for me, and like the coaches are right on this, it was experience, lack of experience. So they had more experienced people at
Yeah,
Invictus. So it's like they're obviously going to go with those people. Um, and they just treat it like a sport. Like
yeah.
any sport, you're trying to make the A team. You're going to have to go through weeks and weeks and weeks of battling each other in the
Mm.
gym. And then eventually they come out with the roster like, hey, you know what? These six people are on the team. These two are the alternates. These four are going to start off competing. So yeah, that's what it was up until like a month and a half, maybe two before the semifinals, to where they finally said, "Hey, you know what? We're going to give you the opportunity," and then just kind of ran with it.
What are your memories of that year of 21 in the games? Did you enjoy it?
It was definitely a learning experience.
Just
I
like the intensity, or
Yeah, well, everything. So we did really well at West Coast Classic, but Jen Ryan broke her hand. So we had to go to the games with her with a broken hand. So we were just managing that mostly. And then just like the speed of the games. Like I've competed in, I mean, Wadapalooza and like semifinals and stuff like that, and the speed's pretty fast, but like the games is a little bit more structured, so it's a little bit quicker. So that was kind of different to adjust to. But I really enjoyed it all. Like I've everything I learned at games, all the people I met, and then just learning how to manage traveling and then staying for a full week and all that stuff. So I learned a lot.
um, your most recent visit was a lot more successful, I guess.
Hmm.
Um, since you were on the podium this year,
Yes.
you finished third, and I was curious about the lead up to the games, and a lot of the conversations were about, say, Mayhem and Is It Rich's last year and Iceland, and are they going to take the crown off Mayhem? And it was like back and forth, and they were in the announcement and all that kind of stuff, the open workout announcement and stuff. When that's happening, are you like, yeah, that's totally fine, I don't really give a shit? Or are you like, fuck this, like, why are they
Yeah.
why is nobody talking about us? Why is nobody talking about like Oslo? Why isn't, like, are you, which side of the fence do you land on?
Yeah. I mean, if anybody tells you that it doesn't bother them, they're lying. Like, I mean, it does bother us. Like, I mean, we wanted our name to be said, but in anything, like in all sports, we like to sit back and just kind of say, hey, you know what, we're going to keep our head down, we're going to work, we're going to show up when we need to. We like being the underdog, um just showing up at games and like proving, hey, you know what, Invictus is here, not just for this year but for many years to come. So yeah, that was pretty much how we handled the situation of hearing Mayhem and Reykjavik and all those other teams.
And what about just on the year before then, if you're leading up to that, so um you've had an interesting relationship with sport. Like, you're obviously really passionate about sport, you're obviously really good at different sports, but you've had like knocks, you've had like doors closed and stuff in your face a bit with, like, just for different kind of reasons. And then when you're gearing up for the games, you get the nod of like, okay, yeah, you're going. And then you have like one of your teammates gets injured, and then one of like an alternate comes in, and like, no disrespect to the alternate, but I just mean it's suboptimal for that to happen anyway. And then another teammate gets injured. Are you just like, oh fuck's sake? Like, is it hard to kind of go into the games being like, woohoo, like we're at the games? Is there a part of you that's like, God damn, why couldn't everything just have been straightforward?
Yeah, no, in those situations, my key thing is like managing the situation. So it's never, I'm very even keel when it comes to things. I've learned that since I was a kid through coaches and stuff. Like, never show emotion, never get too high, never get too low. So when we get situations like that, it's just like I tell my team, like, hey, these are the cards that are dealt. Let's play them. If
Hmm.
Jim's hurt, it's fine. We'll manage it. We'll get through it. Britt, you might have to take more of the worm. You might have to the front, whatever it is. But that's where I thrive, and that's what I love. Like I do love the individual side, but I like my favorite thing is like pushing my teammates and how we can manage the adversities and stuff like that. So it's like it comes very natural to me. So when situations like that pop up, like I sit down, I analyze, and then I say, hey, you know what? This is what we're dealt. Let's figure it out. How can we figure this out? So
The lead up this year was a lot more straightforward, though, right? Like it was like relatively plain sailing, I guess, especially compared to that.
No. No, it wasn't, because was it 3 weeks before the games, I popped 2 ribs out.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah. Yeah, I popped my 2 ribs. I was doing push press, and as I was pressing up, they popped, and it was literally like one of the worst pains I felt. I was in bed for 3 days. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't get up. My girlfriend would have to like pull me up off the bed. Yeah, I completely popped them out.
And what's the fix for that?
I couldn't tell you. No, I'm just kidding. No, I have this awesome bodywork person. His name's Greg. He
like knelt on your side or something?
Yeah, no, he popped him back in, and then I just kind of like said, you know what, like I'm gonna sit and think on it. I'm gonna breathe into the spot. I'm gonna just try to do everything I can to maintain my fitness. If it's all biking, everything with legs, and then just kind of like manage the injury and see if we can get back. If it holds my team back, that's where I jump in and I say, hey, you know what, let's go with Holden. I don't think I can keep up. But everything just played so smoothly. I was seeing Greg 4 times a week. I was also sitting down doing my breathing techniques into the spot and just kind of like recovering as much as I could, managing everything in the gym. So it ended up working fine. I don't know if you saw where I did my front squat and I yelled after. I could send you the video on it, but at games I ended up front squatting 430 and I let go. And like I said, I'm never one to show emotion. Like I'm always even keel. But at that moment, I picked it up and I dropped it and I just like yelled into the camera. I was like, woo. And the only reason I yelled was because at that moment is when I realized, okay, you're 100% now. You get to compete at the games, you know?
Yeah.
So that was
just like a release.
Yeah, because before that, I didn't do any front loading or anything like that. Not even heavy back squats, nothing, because I just couldn't load the ribs.
Yeah.
So that's why I let out that emotion. I was like, okay, I'm ready to go. We can compete 100%. Let's get
That was like the sound of the safety rails being put down.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you think I know obviously like when you're competing at the games, you want to stand on the podium. When you're standing on the podium, you want to stand on top of the podium. But like that moment of standing in, like just being part of that group that stood on the podium at the games, will that forever remain, do you think, as one of your highlights?
Yes. Yeah. Because at that moment, it finally felt like, hey, it didn't feel like it. We knew, and the entire season, we said, and I said, like, we're going to podium. We're going to get there. But that moment solidified we belong. Like, it was like, because that's the hardest part is like you look at all these legends and stuff. Like you look at Rich Froning, Annie Thorsdottir, all these people, and it's like, oh man, will I ever get there? Like,
Yeah.
you're working, like, they're at that level, and it's just kind of hard to believe that you can. As much as you tell yourself all year long, hey, I belong, I belong, I belong. Once you stand up there with them, it's like, okay, like we belong. There's no more excuses. Like next year when it comes and they have those Reykjavik and Mayhem and stuff, like you should be in that talk as well, like in your own head. So yeah, it definitely boosts my confidence and will last with me forever, not just in CrossFit, but just to say, hey, you know what? These people have done this for so long, 15 plus years of rigorous work, and I was with them. I could do that in anything now. So,
You're in Italy recently as well.
yeah.
How was that?
Amazing. So it was like every time I come back, people were like, oh, hey, how does it feel to be an international pro athlete in CrossFit? And I just laughed, like, because it was the first time I actually like traveled and like.
Did you have to put that on your visa? Did you have to put like sports person or whatever?
No. So it was such a cool experience. Like I never thought when I first joined the gym that I'd be traveling to Italy to compete and enjoy my life and do certain things like that. So it was really awesome to do. What was another really cool experience was like I got to experience Rich outside of CrossFit. So it was like, yes, we were competing against Rich, but between every single event and stuff, we'd go back to the hotel and sit in the pool, and I got to get to know him and everything he's done, and it felt really cool because I'm new to the sport, and to just get like the stories that he went through and kind of he'd give me some advice on certain things and stuff. That was really cool to me. So great experience overall.
He did baseball as well, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he did college baseball.
Okay, so at least you've got that common ground. Even
Yeah,
if everything else falls to shit, you can be like, baseball.
yeah, yeah,
Pitching,
yeah,
right? Oof,
yeah.
elbow. And who that was? Brittany and Jake Marconi was on your team as well, wasn't he?
Yeah, so we went so Brittany and I originally got the invite. And so at the time we were going to take the Invictus team, but two of our teammates that were at games with us, they had a bunch of stuff to do, school and work and stuff. So Jake's a good friend of mine. I asked Jake, and then we also took on Michelle Basnet.
Okay,
Um
yeah.
so it was supposed to
She's like South African but lives in
yes, yeah.
America. Yeah.
Exactly. So it was us four, and it was a good dynamic, good team. We had fun outside of CrossFit, and we crushed the competition too. So it was
How
good.
do you know Jake?
So Jake came to Invictus 2 years ago. He came for a week through one of my
He came for the free week.
yeah. No, he knew Ryan Sauter, who was my ex teammate from the first games, and yeah, I got to know him for a week and just kind of hung out and stuff, and then we kept in touch on social media. And then when I went individual at Wadapalooza, he was individual as well. And we just kind of talked all weekend, and we are battling against each other in that mid pack range. So yeah, just kind of got to know each other, and I really, really liked the guy. So I decided to reach out, and I'm thankful he took it because he made it such a good experience.
Yeah, Jake he's one of my favorites. Like
Yeah,
he's such a cool guy.
he's awesome.
And so more recently then you've qualified for Rogue as an individual.
Mm-hmm.
How do you feel about that?
I feel great. Like I'm excited to be out there. The funny story behind it was my coach right before games, like the week before we went on to Madison, he was like, "Hey, Chandler Smith is going to be on vacation in San Diego. It's around the Rogue Invitational qualifier time. If he wants somebody to do them with, would you do them with him?" And I was just like, at the time, I'm like, "Yeah, like it's Chandler Smith. Of course I'll do it." So the games ended, and then that next day, my coach is like, "Hey, we got to get back. Like, you got to do those qualifiers. Chandler's going for that mini vacation, and he'll be at Invictus just doing the qualifier." And at that time, I'm like, "Dude, I just got off the games. I don't
Here
want to
you
go
have like a slice of pizza in your mouth,
there."
your medal around your neck.
Exactly. I'm like, I don't really want to go to try and go because I think qualifiers are the hardest thing in the season. Like, you have to go 110%. You don't know what anyone's doing. You just kind of. So we show up, and he's here, and he's just yeah, from the very first workout, like his energy and just him being there, I was like, you know what, I'm gonna try to beat him. Like, I'm gonna try to push him and qualify, and just like, so we ended up going back and forth all weekend long. It was just me and him in a heat. So they put like the 3 females first, 3 males, and then me and Chandler against each other. And so we're just going back and forth the whole weekend, and ended up actually tying. We got the same points in the qualifier, 391. He took it because he got like 2 first places or something. But yeah, it was just awesome having him in the gym, and just like, I really respect the legends in the sport, and just like me getting a chance to work out with Chandler Smith was just like freaking awesome. So
Obviously, like standing on the podium is a feather in your cap, and it's like a pat on the back, and all the other kind of idioms that you use to describe that kind of moment. But like, does it hit a bit different when your coach says, "Oh, there's a big athlete coming to the gym, and we want you to go head to head with them in a qualifier to push them, and you're going to be in a heat in your own"? Like, are you kind of like, "Oh shit, like this is like they're literally pushing me into the front line here"?
Yeah, in a way. I mean, yeah, it's kind of like, oh wow, they're considering me to go against Chandler Smith, but at that moment, that team managing side comes out of me, and I'm like, hey, you know what? He's coming in. I'm gonna give him my everything because he wants a push.
Yeah.
So I get out of that headspace of like, oh, it's Chandler Smith, like obviously stuff, but like I get out of that headspace to be able to say, hey, you know what? It's Chandler Smith, and he's trying to qualify. I'm gonna push him because he needs me to push him.
Yeah.
So it got to that point at first, and then eventually, like, hey, you know what? Like, maybe I should just try to make this for myself. And so ended up just going as hard as I could and qualified.
So you said originally that you went to your first coach and said, "Oh, I want to go to the games."
Mm-hmm.
But without pause, you said, "I want to go to the games. I want to be on Team Invictus." Now you've done that. You've been to the games. You've been on Team Invictus, and now you've qualified as an individual for like one of, if not the hardest competitions to qualify for.
Mm-hmm.
Are you now like, oh, maybe I should just like go solo for a while? Are you like, oh no, I want to see if we can do better than third as a group? We're going to stick together. Do you know like what's happening yet?
Yeah. So my goal is next year going team, and we're gonna win the thing. We're going to try to win on team, and we're taking the same team.
Okay.
And then right after that, my goal is to win the CrossFit Games individual, no matter how long it takes. So those are my,
Wow,
yeah.
that's cool. Um, that's really cool. And like say with Rogue, then obviously everyone goes into every competition with I'm going to give my best. I'm going to do whatever. But like considering it's your first time on like that sort of scale and stage, are you like being there and not making a fool of myself is a big win, or are you like, oh, if I can like if everything goes right here, I could be like fifth or I could be top, whatever? Like, have you got those kind of goals for it?
Yeah. So my goal for it is actually, I told my coach, is top 6. So that's the number one goal. But like in anything, like there's always that anxiety of like, oh yeah, don't make a fool of yourself and stuff. And like it could be with this kind of competition, or even like a workout in the gym. Like there's
Yeah.
always anxiety of like, don't make a fool of yourself, stuff like that. And it always happens. It's inevitable. So the thing that I kind of go back on is like, hey, you know what? Like when I'm in that position right before the buzzer goes off and I'm feeling the anxiety, and like the anxiety I'm feeling going to Rogue and stuff, it's just like, you've done this before. Like I can sit back and say, hey, you know what? I went against Chandler. I beat him in a couple workouts. I went against Rich Froning. I beat him in a couple workouts. So I just kind of go back in the past and just say, hey, you've been in these situations before, and this is just your anxiety telling you, like, hey, like, don't make a fool of yourself. If you make a fool of yourself, or like you said, I've had many doors closed and stuff. It's what's supposed to happen. You can't, stop it.
Mm.
Just kind of those.
Um, with your team, then how when did you decide? Okay, I want to go team again, and I want to go. We're going to go with the same team. Was that like, say, during the season last year? Was it after the games? Was it during the games? Like when do talks about that kind of stuff tend to happen?
Yeah, so the first year I went to games with Jen Ryan and stuff, and we took like 17th. That
Mm.
next said, hey, we're gonna podium. Like, I'm gonna work towards podium. Whoever wants to join, let's go. This year, same thing. After games, everyone was on board. Everyone's coming back. Everyone's healthy. Everyone enjoys each other. So yeah, we just decided, hey, we're going for that top spot next year. Like, let's stay together. We got a good coaching staff right now. We got good energy at the gym. So why not take advantage of it? Like, I could always go individual this year. Let's say I go individual this year. We won't have this opportunity to go team,
Yeah.
because like everyone's in San Diego. Everyone loves each other. Like, it's just a good time to take advantage of something like that. So
Did you get on like all year? Because it's kind of intense. Like it's a weird scenario to be in where you're beholden to everyone else and you have to hold up your end of the bargain, but then you like they have to do it as well. And there's that thing of um, like you really have to trust each other to be doing the work
yeah,
because if you anyway doubt anyone and you see something, I don't know, you see them even like putting a fucking picture of a takeout on Instagram or something, you're like, motherfucker, we're so, like it's hard not to kind of look into things like that. What was your team dynamic devoid of that kind of thing? Was there just trust from the start, or?
Yeah, no, this is why I say, hey, this is like the time to take advantage of it, because the three teammates I have, like everyone is in line. Like, we all don't really drink. We all don't drink alcohol. Like, I've been sober for 2 years. I don't drink caffeine. My teammates hardly drink caffeine. Like, it's just like, we're all like in line with each other, and we all know the overall goal. And then the entire year, I mean, obviously you do get annoyed here and there every once in a while, like brother and sister type thing, like, but we understand what buttons to push, what not to push, when to stay, to get each other. So like the biggest thing is like, we know each other very well. We work together very well, and like we just know how to manage each other. So
Yeah, two of those things stood out. We don't drink alcohol and we don't drink coffee. Straight away, I'm thinking Josh Olshama definitely drinks coffee and he fucking drinks Guinness.
I was gonna say that, but he did cut it out before.
Yeah.
And that was without us saying, hey, you know what, you need to stop this. Like, he got
Yeah,
it.
you need to put away that fucking surge machine, and you need to just stop. You need to start filling those pint glasses with water.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, he's a good guy. I like him. I've had him on the show. He's good. He's good fun. So what else then? You've got Rogue coming up. Anything else between now and the Open?
So I have Rogue, and then I'm actually going to Vegas to do the Zelos games.
Oh yes.
Yeah, so I'll be going there right after. I just really support everything Jared's doing and stuff. And then we're actually gonna go team for Wadapalooza, which we want to win that. It's me,
Who's we? Yeah.
me, Josh, and Sam Dancer.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So Sam has that bicep thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, he has it going on and stuff, but he keeps like saying, "Hey, he'll be ready and stuff." But we're just managing it. Like, if
didn't he last year? Didn't he? Wasn't he on the Smith brothers team last year or something?
Yeah.
Wasn't he? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And is he in? Does he? Because he doesn't live in San Diego, does he? Does he travel there?
Yeah, he travels here a bunch, and throughout the season. So like when the season starts, he'll come for like 6 months. Like he'll end up doing it. But right now he's dealing with that bicep thing back home. Like I said, we're just managing it, and there's no pressure. Like, if he can't, I'd rather him not jump in, and we'll end up trying to find somebody. But now he says he's going to be ready, and I mean, I don't really doubt Sam because he's a beast.
Yeah, I'll be in Miami if you're stuck. So if Sam can't do it,
yeah.
Yeah, actually, maybe ask Star. Star will probably be a better bet. Ask his kid instead. don't even broach it with me. Yeah, look, we'll finish with a quick fire. I don't want to keep you too long. I'm really impressed with you, man. I have to say, I'm really impressed. So these are all either or. So burpee or thruster?
Burpee.
Deadlift or squat?
Squat.
Dumbbell or barbell?
Barbell.
Run or bike?
Run.
Row or ski?
Ski.
Team or individual?
Team.
Look, it's been absolutely fantastic to get to talk to you. You have a genuinely a criminally low social media following. I think it's bizarre that you're not like a household name already. I think you're the journey that you've been on is something that I think a lot of people have circled and have, a lot of people can empathize with. I think the darker days that you've had, I suppose, and it's great to see you coming through them. And like, you're just, I know you say that there's a lot of work done in the dark and we're only seeing the little bit in the light, but fucking hell, it's astronomical. Your improvements are just insane. I'm really excited to see what you do at Rogue and Wadapalooza, and then next year. Just good luck with everything. It's been a pleasure getting to talk to you.
Yeah, thank you so much. And it was honestly great. Like I said, I'm always so even keel. I never like to, or not like to open up, but I just never really do. So it was good to finally like get some of that story cleared up and stuff. So thank you for that opportunity. And then in Miami, hopefully I get to meet you in person and stuff and kind of talk out there. So
yeah, well, when Sam's injured, I'll just step in. I'll wear his little wife. His little wife runs his budgie smugglers and his flip flops, and I'll jump in.
Go on the roster as our alternate then.
Yeah, please, God, please don't. It's like, how did he die? Well, funny story.